that character really delighted some of the fan base. It divided others. I was in my early 20s, at the time that I saw the character, and I saw it one way, but now kind of 20 years on, I'm a dad to an autistic son, so I see that character very, very differently. And I've been on this kind of real journey of discovery around neurodiversity, and in my work, I do a lot around championing neurodiversity and inclusion. Um, I think one thing there's not anywhere near enough of in media is representation of autistic people. And so kind of firstly, I want to say thank you for presenting the Eugene character in the way that you did, because I think the very fact we're still talking about it today shows just what an impact you had with your portrayal of that character. I would be fascinated. I heard you talk about this before, but I'd be fascinated if you can kind of take my audience back to the very beginning of Eugene's development and how that idea first came about for you.
So I started wrestling in 1996. I got hired developmental by WWE in 1999. I did some WCW in 1998. I did some USWA in 1997. But I was hired by WWE in 1999. I had a couple years of experience. So when they sent, I was already in Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky area was my hometown. I was wrestling for OVW. So when they started bringing the talent like John Cena, Bautista, and Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Victoria, Shelton Benjamin, on and on and on, I had a little bit more experience. So I wasn't the main coach, but I was a player coach wrestling them. And I just kept doing that. And I was, I felt like my craft was getting better, but it got to be about 2003. And then like all my friends have been called up. Conway, Rob Conway, Doug Basham, Danny Basham. And I'd seen a lot of guys. Hold on, let me back up. So one of my trainers, Rip Rogers, his son has autism. And Rip was just trying to always give me ideas for some kind of character. And he said, what about a character that might not be able to tie his shoes, might not be able to put the square peg in the square hole, but the minute, he gets in the wrestling ring, he can do everything flawlessly because he's watched it his whole life. And there was another layer to the Eugene onion, is that Eugene would know all the trivia. Some random show in the middle of somewhere, he would know the gate and how many people and who was on top. And I said that a couple of times in some interviews, but I'd always have to go to Howard Finkel because Howard Finkel really knew everything.
Okay.
But Rip gave me this idea, so I just kind of put it in the back of my head. And this was probably early 2003. A couple months later, the agents would come down. I remember it was Arn Anderson. And I pitched that idea to Arn. I remember Arn goes, we're more reality-based now. We don't really do gimmicks like that anymore. Okay. So I just shelved the idea. Another couple months go by. The writers came down. And the writers didn't come down often. So I pitched it to them, and that's when they said, oh, Vince would never do a character like that. No. Okay. I'd seen a lot of people come to Louisville and then complain and then get called up to the main roster. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. I tell my students that all the time. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So I told Doug Basham, I said, I think I'm going to quit and try to go to Japan. I didn't know anybody in Japan. I had no idea how to get there. It was a bluff. I was living at home in my own hometown. I was a top babyface or top heel on a television show in my hometown. Most of the shows were no more than 2 hours away. I mean, I was wrestling for a living, so it was pretty cool. But I tell Doug Basham, I think I'm going to quit and try to go to Japan. Doug tells Dean Malenko. Dean tells Johnny Ace. February 2004, I found myself at a Raw. I made a meeting with Vince McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon's in the room. And Vince goes, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And I just spit this out. What about a character, might not be very social, but he's an idiot savant that when he gets in the ring and the bell rings, he's watched it his whole life and he does it flawlessly. So Vince was kind of pondering over the Rain Man of wrestling, huh? Stone Cold Steve Austin had come back to do, I think he was promoting one of his movies on a Saturday Night's Main Event taping. He walks in Vince's office. Vince goes, Steve, have you ever seen this guy wrestle? And Steve kind of looked at me. You know how Austin looks at people like that little eye? He goes, no, I don't think I have. I said, well, Nightmare Danny Davis trained me. Because Nightmare Danny Davis was my first trainer, and then Rip Rogers was the guy I wrestled with in the ring a lot. But I said, no, Nightmare Danny Davis trained me. And Austin goes, well, you're probably one of the best. And Vince goes, all right, great, we'll start on Monday. We didn't actually start the very next Monday, but I think it was April when Eugene debuted.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. Just like that.
Well, I pitched the idea of the character, and I had all the gear I had said Nick Dinsmore.
Mm.
So I had to borrow a pair of trunks from Rob Conway that he used to give the seamstress so she knew what the pattern was for his trunk. So that was the bluish purple trunks I had. The jacket was a buddy got it at a flea market for $6, and it just looked like the old '80s babyface
Yep.
jackets. I had knee pads and my boots, and I went to a Raw one time and dressed up in an outfit, and all right, but they said we want you to do a live event before we debut on TV, because I don't know if they knew like what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do, and it was St. Louis. It was during the time of the Final Four, and we had a live event, and it was an afternoon show, like a 3 o'clock or a noon show, 1 o'clock show. And I wrestled Lance Cade. And I was so fortunate to be able to wrestle Lance because Lance knew how to wrestle with a gimmick. And most of the time, if a guy goes out to a WWE live event and he hasn't been on WWE TV, the fans will not, they won't respond to him, or they'll boo him, but they won't cheer him. At the end of this match, I hadn't been on TV, but the crowd was chanting Eugene's name, and I got beat.
Wow.
I came back through the curtain, and Triple H was there, Stephanie was there, Arn was there, Fit was there, all standing ovation. And Triple H goes, you embrace the character, because I really don't know where it came from. I just went out there and I've been wrestling for 8 years. I was called Mr. Wrestling. I could do an hour time limit draw and not use the same hold twice. The wrestling was easy. A lot of the new guys, that's the hard part. This is the easy part. So then I could just be having fun and doing character stuff. And I don't know where not the inspiration, but just what came out of me. I don't know where it came from, but I just did it. I came back through the curtain, and they're all like, you embrace the character. It was awesome. And then I started on TV after that, and they would slowly give me a little bit. And I don't think that they thought the character would succeed like it did. I think they were. I think I squeaked my squeaky wheel, and they said, okay, let's give him a shot. And if it doesn't work, we'll just fire him. Because that's what they do.